Good afternoon, welcome to the UK Column Live, UK Column News even. Myself, Louise Collins, Brian Garish and Mike Robinson are here in Plymouth on the 23rd of July 2014, and we have Guy Taylor and approximately 300 others live at Russell Lane in Nottingham from an eviction, and we'll be joining him very, very soon. It's really hot in here.
It is. Well, we're pleased to say lots of reports of sunshine across the country. Seems to be very nice in Nottingham today. That's probably about the only nice thing going on there. One or two people saying it's a bit cloudy, so not too bad across the country. But let's go to Guy and Linda Taylor.
Straight over to Guy. Guy, are you there?
Hiya, how you doing, kids? All right?
Yeah, fine. How are you? And how's it going? And how are all the supporters there as well? 300 odd, you said, has turned
I
up.
don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah, we'll do you a quick spin around. Hang
Go on
on.
then.
I can see that.
Can you see it?
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Guy, can you tell us a little bit
people,
about...
That's people interrogating the BBC who've turned up.
Oh,
so
great. I hope they give a big...
Hi, everyone.
Say hi, everyone, to UK Column. Hey! It's the real media's here. Yeah.
Thank you, Guy. Guy, can you just tell us a little bit about the case and a little about Tom and Sue Crawford and how this has come to happen?
You can see at the moment. I mean, what's actually happened is there's a chap here who absolutely normal, everyday guy who they changed his mortgage from an endowment mortgage to an interest-only mortgage. I'll put him on for you in a minute. He went on YouTube, and if you put up Banks Fraud Eviction on YouTube, you come up with his video, which is amazing. It's really heart-rendering, and the British public have felt what he's saying, because they changed his mortgage, he knew nothing about it, and of course now he's retired, he finds out that he's still in debt to them, which is nonsense. So he came to myself and others, and Mr. Ebert has gone through the paperwork, and we discovered there's not even been any proceedings against him. It's all fraudulent. So it's involving a particularly nasty piece of work called David Caress, who's the local bailiff in Nottingham, who's made many people homeless. He's an ex-miner with some violent sort of tendencies, and so it went out on Facebook to get this promoted and get people to come and support Tom. Well, the support has been fantastic. Everyone's come from all over the UK, and we've been here all day waiting for the bailiffs who haven't turned up. We've contacted them, asking them where they are. They're not engaging with us. The police aren't engaging with us. The BBC and the Express newspaper have come here. I've personally given them interviews. The people down there are interviewing them and asking them. They're saying, why are we protesting? We're saying, well, isn't it funny that the British Broadcasting Company doesn't understand why half of the British public from all over the country are here at an event in Nottingham and you don't even know about it? So, but I'll put Tom on, and Tom will be able to explain to you and talk to you about the situation. So
Okay.
is that okay?
Great, that's fine. Thanks, Guy.
Okay, here's Tom.
Hi, Tom. Welcome to the UK Column.
Hello, how are you?
We're very well. So, do you want to just tell us briefly, because we haven't got too much time, about your story and how you've come to this?
Okay, what actually happened was 1988 we took out a mortgage which was Bradford and Bingley endowment scheme. It was their own scheme, but now they're denying it. Then approximately 11 to 12 years later we discovered they changed the endowment into capital and interest. So they sent a bottle of champagne to my wife and some flowers and apologised, and it's not up to their standard, because I discovered they're actually worse than that. 6 years later, we assumed everything wrongly, had gone back to what it was. But they changed the part and part mortgage into an interest only. So that meant everything I paid and my wife paid was simply interest, and nothing came off the capital. So in 2012, they came after. I got ill. I got ill in 2011. Well, I was lying in bed. I had cancer. I had operations that went wrong. They came along and tried to possess our home. Took us to court. That was set aside because the ombudsman was looking into it. Then after that, we came back 6 months later. We didn't owe anything. We cleared all our arrears. So we came to the end of our mortgage in 2013, and I knew then they'd be going after the capital for the house that the endowment should have paid. So I took them to court. The court, basically I didn't get to court. I went into a hearing with a judge, McMillan, who it was in his chambers, said I had no merit. I was expecting that to happen, so I had another claim into High Court. Well, District Judge McMillan got a hold of that claim within 2 days, struck it out without a hearing, and at the back of the document I put evidence to follow, so he struck it out with even the evidence. And the other thing is, he's only a district judge. He should never have put his hands on a High Court instrument. And that takes us up today. I just made a little video, and these very nice people turned up to support me and stop the possession of my home by these basic criminals. And that includes the bank and the courts.
Yeah, fantastic. And so how many people would you say is there? There's a lot of cheering. What's going on there now?
Sorry, you have to say that again. They're cheering here. I didn't hear anything.
What's going on right now then? Have you seen any sign of any bailiffs?
No, I've phoned them up 3 times. I sent them an email, and they're refusing to even talk to me.
Someone's circling around now.
Yeah. So somebody says they're going around, but they're not here.
Okay.
Tom, have you had any conversations yourself with the media? Has the BBC been interested in you personally? Are they actually trying to understand what this is about?
Yeah, well, they've got the Express here and another paper, and I'm not giving them any interviews, or the BBC, because I know how they'll twist it. They'll probably say all these people are here is because of me and it's trouble, so if they don't get a comment, they can't twist it.
Exactly. Any more to add?
Yes, Tom, just a last question from me. Have you been, aside from Guy and Linda Taylor, have you been able to talk about the whole problem with other people who are suffering this unlawful repossession? Have you been able to talk with other people who are suffering the same thing as you?
Yeah, well, we hope that this will inspire other people to do exactly the same and get the story out there, because we've got documentation from the courts that they've put fraudulent documents. They've even written to my MP a contradictory letter to the one they sent me, and I don't think it's Vernon Corker, which is the shadow MP for Northern Ireland. He's away just now to his daughter's wedding, but when he gets back I don't think he'll be too happy, and he'll have to take that to the judiciary higher up.
Can I just ask, well, how about your neighbours and the people in the area? Are they supporting you with all of this?
Yeah. It's turned out that neighbours that you just nod to, and they're right behind us, the whole family.
Fantastic.
Seeing our kids grow up in the street, and now they're all adults, and well, I'm a granddad now as well, and it breaks my heart thinking that this should have been their place when we're gone, and their kids could have had the same opportunity, but these criminals, they don't care about it.
No, they don't. Brian?
Tom, I should be very interested to hear what sort of response you get from Mr. Coker. Of course, he is one of the little cluster of Labour MPs that have done absolutely nothing in support of the victims, the over 100 victims abused at Beechwood Children's Home in Nottingham. John Mann, Labour MP, has spoken out in Westminster. But if we have politicians who simply don't care about children being seriously sexually abused and raped in supposed children's homes, what chance do we stand over homes? It's time, we would suggest it's time that ordinary people realised we are being governed by criminals.
Yeah, well, out of all of this, the epidemic is stealing houses and stealing children because of a wonderful man. His name is Mr. Ebert. He's a forensic document investigator. All these warrants are illegal, and these people have lost their children through what's happening with me and what he's looking into. it may have a knock-on effect and help lots of different people.
Just one more thing, Tom. What will happen to, you know, say for instance when everyone disperses, are the bailiffs entitled to come back if they'd arranged a date to come and do the repossession? Are they entitled then to come back the next day, you know, once people have made their way homes and you and your wife are there on your own?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure of that, but I'll pass you on to Guy, because he's the knowledgeable man about that.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us, and we're here if you need us again.
Right, and thank you very much for actually covering it, unlike the run-of-the-mill press who would just change the story.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom.
So I
think we're just going to quickly have one more word with Guy.
I think we need to ask if the police are actually there to uphold the peace, keep the peace.
Well, it looks very peaceful.
The situation is really, of course, you know, we know that these criminals can come back at any time, blah, 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 blah. What's happening in our case, Brian, which you were there for, once these issues come under public scrutiny to such a degree and public engagement, then they'd better make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And in this particular case, we know that all their paperwork is fake and fraudulent. And I say that there aren't even any proceedings against Tom and his wife. It's absolutely appalling. And in fact, with his permission, I'll show you that on another occasion. So if they dared to come back, then that would be, you know, it would be really under serious scrutiny. And again, now we've got so many members of the public who are interested and at this event, and they aren't the usual activists, I say. There are people here we don't know. There are people here in mobility scooters. There are pensioners. There are young ones. There are all sorts here. So they're too much under the public scrutiny at the moment. We were going to arrest the bailiffs if they tried coming in with the documents they've got, because they're clearly fraudulent. And we've been working a long time. Mr. Ebert's been working on Tom's file, and it's
people power.
It's people power. People power. So what we're doing now is, this is a common law action, and all we can do when the statutory mechanism fails is resort to common law defence. And this is what a common law defence is. And then ultimately we're engaging with their paperwork, what they believe is their statutory process, and it's got more holes in it than a colander. It doesn't exist. It doesn't stand up. So do you want another quick shot and another shout at the crowd?
Yeah, please, and then we're going to show some photos.
Okay, guys, can you all say hi?
Hey guys, we give it a cheer for the player!
Guy.
Okay then, chaps.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks, Linda, so much, and we'll be in touch later. Thanks so much.
Incredible. That's really peaceful protest at its best, lawful rebellion as it should be done, which is good people coming onto the streets to help each other in a totally peaceful way.
Exactly.
And they're doing the research. And I know Mr. Ebert has suffered himself. He's had businesses taken away, property taken away. So the gentleman mentioned by Guy Taylor there has been working for many, many years trying to expose the sheer criminality and corruption in the courts.
And hopefully we'll get him on the show soon.
I think we might be able to do that. We'll just show you a couple of photographs here of the street.
Can I just say thanks to Carl Cunningham, because I went and pinched them all off his Facebook without his permission, so thank you, Carl.
Here we are, so tremendous photographs and people power, as we say, doing the job. And I'm fascinated to hear their comments about the mainstream press, because I think many people are just getting sick and tired of the same plastic reports coming across in newspapers. BBC, not worth dealing with, certainly not until they deal with the paedophiles in the organisation. So we're going to break away from Nottingham. We're just going to go overseas with Mike, but we will then be returning to the subject of Nottingham. And really, we are hot on the trail of what is going wrong in that city and Nottinghamshire itself. And of course, central to that is the abuse of children at Beechwood Children's Home. But Mike, what's happening in Russia?
Well, actually, it's what's happening in France, because France is at least apparently trying to criticise Britain of hypocrisy over links to Russian oligarchs, and because as a result of this business over the Russian arms deals. And of course, France may be complaining about this, but it makes total sense. Britain and the Russian oligarchs have been working hand in glove for many years. That's what the Litvinenko business was about. And Putin at some point in his career decided that these people were not working in the best interests of Russia, and so he either threw one or two of them in prison in Siberia, or the rest of them ran away and came to Britain, where they bought up football teams and whatnot. So, of course, it makes sense that Russia has links to Russian oligarchs. That Britain has links to Russian oligarchs, and that's one of the reasons why there's such an anti-Putin feeling from the British establishment at the moment. But I just also wanted to highlight this from the Times as well, because the Times is really going full guns on the propaganda front here. The Litvinenko inquiry, the belated announcement of an inquiry into the murder of Russian exile, demonstrates the failure of appeasement, and the use of this language is really incredible, because they're obviously attempting to sort of raise the demons of the Second World War with talk of appeasement, and clearly again attempting to paint Putin as being a Hitler type character, which of course he absolutely is not necessarily a totally nice guy, just like any other politician, but I believe that he has Russian interests at heart and not the interests of the global financial system, and that's one of the reasons why he is a target. But I just thought this talk of appeasement was another example of the blatant propaganda in the UK media at the moment. I wanted to highlight that.
Well, we've got so many things happening, Mike, and of course, all of a sudden we've got events in Ukraine. We've got this Litvinenko inquiry coming up. Good stuff to distract the public mind from what's been happening with children. But if we stay on a theme of who exactly do our MPs work for, are they here to look after our interests, or are they working for other people, the bankers, or indeed foreign nations? I think you've got some a quick look at MPs in Israel.
Yeah, now this article, actually, I put a smile across my face when I saw it late last night. So here it says, UK shadow government leader opposes Israeli invasion. But let us cast our minds back to March of 2013, where Mr. Milliband, who is part of the Labour Friends of Israel and also, a staunch Zionist, who stood up on stage and opposed any boycotts of Israel. And then yesterday, if we go back a slide, whilst he's having his photo opportunity with Obama, he is there denouncing Israel. So the only comment I really have to say is sheer hypocrisy of the man, and that's one way to certainly lose votes in my eyes.
Should be one way to lose votes, but of course many people still don't pick it up.
No, clear. Okay, so Politics UK have picked up on a video which we're going to be showing photographs very shortly of, and they show a Palestinian man searching for his family. They then go on into detail in this article where Israel's has been getting its arms from and how Britain is earning out of this crisis. Here, Politics UK's findings show component parts from sniper rifles could well have come from the UK. Military kits sold to Israel, including parts from sniper rifles, small arms, ammunitions, ground-based radars, aircraft engines, communications and drones all have come from Britain. Britain also supplied US F-16 combat aircraft to Israel. According to a Commons committee, this is where the money has actually gone. All-wheel drive vehicles with ballistic protection, body armour, components for body armour, military helmets, components for pistols, components for body armour, components for all four-wheel drive vehicles with ballistic protection components, assault rifles, pistols, components for equipment, small arms ammunitions, weapon sights, military communications equipment and components, and the list keeps going on. This has all come from Britain. And interesting also is the Israeli firm Rafael announced recently that it was in negotiations back with the Military of Defence to add to its 15-year deal to supply fighter jets. And I urge viewers really and listeners to go and have a look at this politics.co.uk article, where it really does sum up how much Britain has to gain through the crisis at the moment in Gaza from Israel.
And violence in the Middle East
and
in
violence,
general.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so now going on to the video that was mentioned in the Politics article. There is a video attached to this story. It's very graphic, and I suggest well, I urge people really to watch it, which basically shows a young man, say between 19 and 23, searching for the rubble for his family. The next hearing, there are shots fired. He drops to the ground. The shots are believed to be fired by an Israeli sniper, according to aid workers who was helping him search for his family. Another shot is then fired and believed to hit him in the heart. The man then dies. Apparently, the US is sending £47 million worth of aid, according to the mainstream media. Over 600 Palestinians have apparently been killed in the last fortnight and 18 Israelis. And I would just like to remind our viewers and listeners to where our leaders' allegiance lies. So if we can go to the first slide, here we have Conservative Friends of Israel frontman David Cameron. There hails his unbreakable support for Israel when he went to meet Netanyahu on his first visit.
So he's not giving independent and unbiased opinion on what's happening in the Middle East. He's giving absolutely biased opinion. He's going to work, as he says, his allegiance to Israel is unshakable.
Okay, and then we go on to Nick Clegg, and here we have Nick Clegg speaking at a conference organised by the Liberal Democrats, Friends of Israel. And not to be forgotten, here he is, Ed Milliband, the hypocrite of the moment, talking there at the Labour Friends of Israel and basically vowing his loyalty to Israel. And not to be forgotten, UKIP. I couldn't believe this. Somebody sent it to me. Thank you very much, Tom, I think it was. And here UKIP have their own Friends of Israel supporting website.
So we'll reinforce the fact that the moment we talk about the Middle East, and particularly if we mention Palestine, we quite often get emails saying that we are being biased. No, we're not. We're reporting the truth about whose allegiance is to whom, and why. We are saying that the killing in Gaza, in the Middle East, is terrible. We want it to stop on both sides, but we're also pointing a finger at the moment to say that we are seeing excessive use or excessive use of violence against the Palestinians, and we are going to report on this. Is it a coincidence that British MPs are totally in bed with the present Israeli government? We don't think it is. It's almost as if we have a parallel society running in UK on this subject.
Can I just reiterate, 300 Palestinians killed in the last 2 weeks. No, sorry, it's more than that. 600, over 600 killed in the last 3 weeks, and 18 Israeli.
I think that number's gone up to 27 or something now, but it's still
gone up to 27.
Yeah, but it's still
Right. Enough said.
Okay. Well, we'd like to give you some good news, but I'm afraid there isn't a lot. What we're going to do is just carry on through events and put some comment on them. But Mike, you picked up on.
Well, this was really only this was the Sun and the Herald in Scotland today, blowing the trumpet for Scotland because, of course, this is the start of the Commonwealth Games, and I just thought we should compare and contrast with the reality of Scotland, which I believe you're about to come on to.
Indeed, yeah. What a headline, though, isn't it? Dear world, welcome to Scotland. And there he is, Alex Salmon, just managing to peer over the bottom of the page. Presume this is some sort of magic circle ceremony with the Golden Games. But what's the reality of Scotland? Well, this is the reality, that we've got a Scottish government corrupting justice, protecting establishment paedophiles, false imprisonment and crime. So this is in fact the reality, and if people from overseas are going to visit Scotland, of course, Scottish people, wonderful people, lovely country, but at the moment ruled by a junta of 3 men, clearly out at the moment to protect paedophiles within the establishment. So we'll leave it to the public to make their minds up, but a shame. Sorry, that was the Sun, that headline, wasn't it, Mike? Or was it the Mirror?
It was the Sun, yeah.
It was the Sun, yes. Shame the Sun can't manage to delve deeper into paedophile activity in Scotland. It's a shame the Sun has not to date managed to print anything on the abuse of Holly Gregg. But paedophiles, hot subject in Europe and elsewhere in the world, and the Dutch coming into the spotlight here.
And you want to know a bit more about the Dutch and their involvement during the 80s, just have a look for Chris Fay on YouTube and see what he has to say. But this independent article is reporting that Veremeyeng Martin, who are a group, and they advocate the legal and social sexual relationships between adults and children, and they believe that they are being denied the right of freedom of speech since they were banned by the Supreme Court of the Netherlands for promoting basically paedophilia. They are taking their case to the European Court of Human Rights, so we must wait and see what the European Court of Human Rights are going to do about this very dirty little group that is going around in Holland.
This is about keeping the push towards making sex with children acceptable. We've had this in UK through Liberty, don't forget, with British politicians involved. So we see the steady lowering of the age of consent until it's difficult to know whether you're dealing with an adult or a child. You keep nibbling away at the edges. And now we're introducing the need for people who are attracted to children to have their special needs met.
Exactly.
So our prediction is, unless we, the public, stop this, we're going to see more of it coming to the fore, and really this is the outcome, isn't it?
Yep. Ian Watkins, who was jailed for 29 years for child sex offences, we'll find out later today if he has won the right to appeal. And actually, about 5 minutes ago, just under that, somebody did post in our chat room at ukcolumn.org that he has actually been denied the right to appeal. So well done, that judge. Lock him up and throw away the key.
Lot to be done, of course, and the Mirror here coming out with a pretty straightforward article warning, of course, that Margaret Thatcher was one of the many politicians absolutely told about the paedophile rings in operation, and this man, Anthony Gilbert, is saying that he actually gave names of top Tories who were having sex with boys. So this is somebody else come out of the woodwork. He alleges that he saw these top Tories having sex with boys. This was in relation to some of the big conferences. So he believes there's a cover-up. He was also procuring for these parties, and he's talking as late as 1984. So although we can put this historic label on it, has it changed? We don't think so.
I know for a fact Bill and Chris are working with people who have been involved with current MPs to this date. So focus on the historic, thinking it's all cleaned up, put that out to the public, nothing to worry about. We're cleaning it all up. We're going to bring the old timers to the forefront. Let's not mention the ones that are still
in power. Now. Well, with that, we're going to jump back to Nottingham because, of course, we've been reporting on the abuse of some 100 children at Beechwood Children's Home. This was brought up for our attention, and that is that nearly 12 million has been put forward for a crime fight team to give Nottingham a better future. So if you're interested in what is actually going on in Nottingham, you might like to have a look at the Police and Crime Commissioner, Paddy Tipping. He says at the moment that he can't really comment on what's happening with Beechwood because Nottingham Police are currently involved in an operation to investigate abuse allegations. That's Operation Daybreak. But other information that the UK column is receiving is that, well, it's not quite as clear cut as that. The police seem to be dragging their heels. But this is what it's all about. It's about partnership. We've got the police mixing with public health. We've got the homes, city homes involved. We've even got the fire and rescue service involved. That's quite interesting. They're all working in a happy partnership. So we would like to say, are the police in Nottingham actually independent? Are they prepared to investigate their chums in the City Council, County Council and Children's Services? Well, we don't think so. You can have a look at the details of this. We've got the Crime and Drug Partnership Board here in this slide. And here you see the names of some of the people listed: City Council, City Homes, the police, One Nottingham, Nottingham Prison, the university. So everything tied into working together. And of course, this is where the applied psychology can be brought in to manipulate what's going on. Thank you again to a viewer that brought Mr. Clark to our attention. As you know, he's just been given an award. Well, he's a Rise Sir Ken Clark CH. Well, forget the Sir, because he doesn't actually get that, but he does get CH. We can work out what that was, but we think it's central heating as a result of the heat coming on Westminster, but maybe we've got that wrong. But we were interested that he's going to take over as the next president of Nottingham Association of Local Councils. So this will be very interesting to see what Mr. Ken Clark will be doing to bring pressure to bear for a full investigation into the abuse of children at Beechwood Children's Home. Here's the actual letter posted on the Nottingham Association of Local Council website, and they're absolutely delighted that Ken Clark QC, MP for Rushcliffe, has agreed to become the next president. And obviously he's done such a good job in Parliament. They've even put him on this one, nice warm image of autumn in beautiful park somewhere. And there he is, quite a young looking Mr. Clark down on the bottom left-hand corner. So congratulations to Mr. Clark.
And I'd love to get Ben Fellows. We will get Ben Fellows on very soon to hear his comments with regards to.
Well, we'll see what he has to say.
Yeah.
And let's have a look at other things around Beechwood House and, of course, the abuse victim, Melanie Shaw. The Nottingham Post here reporting that a woman was to appear in court on life-endangering arson charges. And this is Melanie Shaw, 43, of Bonington Crescent, Sherwood. And she's alleged to have set fire to an address in Sherwood on April the 4th. There's another report in the East Midlands News, and again it says it is alleged to have set fire to an address in Sherwood on April the 4th. We did actually speak to the Nottingham Post. They said they didn't actually report this themselves or investigate it themselves, so this is a generalised report, so we don't know which of these newspapers produced the original story. But what is interesting is if you go and have a look at Nottinghamshire Fire and Service website, they have a list of fires, and we can't find any fire on the date of 4th of April. We did speak to the fire service this morning, and they said that the list does not have to be a full and complete list. Sometimes fire incidents are not reported, particularly if there's some involvement of the police. But we're waiting for a further statement from Nottingham Fire Service. But I think you've got a little bit to add to this story, Mike.
Yes, because I think this is the original press release, if you like, from Nottingham, which led to those newspaper stories. And as you can see quite clearly there, this press release shows the 4th of April 2014. Now, people may notice that this is the Google Cache version of this press release, and you may ask why. Why are we looking at the Google Cache? Well, in fact, the reason is quite simple. If you look at that same press report today, it says the 1st of February 2014, and we find it very strange that Nottinghamshire Police would go back to a press release which they issued on the 16th of July this year, and at some point between the 16th of July, when we and those newspapers all saw that press release, they have changed the date of the alleged incident. Now, I phoned Nottingham Police media team and asked for a statement, but unfortunately the lady dealing with this was not available for comment, so I emailed them and asked for comment and have had no reply as at the time of the start of this programme. So if we get a response from Nottingham Police, I will of course pass it along, but at this point it seems very strange to me that Nottingham Police media team were not even able to get the date of the alleged offence correct for their own media release.
And you went back, we obviously went back, because the other office, you went back and had a look on February, the alleged date, and still nothing there for that area?
Well, we've checked all the press reports. The deeper you dig, the more confusing it is. It's quite possible, of course, that Nottinghamshire Police have made a mistake. But it appears to us very strange that they would have made a mistake in reporting such a serious offence as arson with the intent to endanger life.
Apparently Capita puts out the police media, according to Kate.
We'll have a look at that. We weren't aware of that as to whether Capita were actually working with Nottinghamshire police media team, but we'll see what comes out of that. The other thing we've been interested in is reports of the actual dates of hearings for Melanie Shaw. We've got a slide here taken showing some of the actual court process that she's been through, and she appeared in court on the 18th of July. The police are now saying that she's due to appear in court on the 25th of July, and we'll just bring up here, we understand that will be at 11 o'clock. However, when we spoke to Nottingham Crown Court this morning, they believed that this may well be by video link. They seem to be very uncertain as to whether Melanie Shaw would actually appear in court in person. Mike?
Brian, I'm interested in your comments on this, because it seems to me that for a defendant who is only up the road in Peterborough Prison to appear by video link seems to me to be an absolute perversion of the course of justice. She surely has the right to see every piece of process that happens with regard to her case. Is that an unfair statement?
No, not unfair at all. I think the thing, bearing in mind that there is a hearing on Friday, and of course we have to be measured and proper in our reporting. What we're really interested in at the moment is all the authorities around this case seem to be slightly confused. The police are slightly confused about dates of the crime. The press seem to be unsure as to who actually reported the initial stories with those dates. The fire service seem to be a little bit puzzled as to why a supposed fire which endangered life doesn't appear on their website. And then the court seemed to be rather puzzled as to whether Melanie did actually appear in court on the 18th of July, and indeed whether she was going to appear in court on Friday the 25th. So I'd just like to say I'm a little bit confused here as to why Nottinghamshire authorities would be so confused in a collective, collaborative sort of way.
I'd just say this afternoon there's going to be a lot of phone calls back and forth from various departments around Nottingham, I would have thought. Well,
we hope that if some of Nottingham Police or the Fire Service are watching our programme today, and we feel confident that some will be, we'd just like to say, can you explain for the wider public, in the public interest, what exactly has been going on around this very, very vulnerable child abuse witness, Melanie Shaw? As we said yesterday, a big thank you from Melanie for all of the posts that she's received. We'll just remind you, stamps are very helpful to her. If you send in money, you must send your name and a full address with the money that you donate to her. Otherwise, it is initially held until the donator for the money can be identified, and if they can't be identified, that money is given to charity. So if we have problems in Nottingham at the moment, we've also, of course, still got problems with children's homes in Wales.
Yeah, the NCA, National Crime Agency, have said that 275 victims have come forward to report that they were assaulted in the Welsh children's homes. 49 suspects apparently have been identified, 21 have actually been arrested, 16 have apparently died, and 10 people have been charged already. Operation Pallial was set up back in 2012, and they believe more victims are still due to come forward, so we need to watch this space to find out what's happening next. But it's still going on, and as we say, there have been 21 arrests so far.
So can we just say that we've got the complainant, interesting terms they're using for children now. Your residents, if you're the BBC and you've been abused in a children's home, they refer to you as residents, former residents. The Guardian is talking about complainants, but we're talking about 275, Beechwood Home, at least another 100 youngsters, 375. And then, of course, we've got about the other 5 children's homes connected to Nottinghamshire, which the police are supposedly investigating with Operation Daybreak. So if we've got similar numbers there, we're getting up towards, what, 600, 700, 800 youngsters abused, but we still can't really get anybody prosecuted. No. And of course, the authorities who have held responsibility for the safety of those children in the homes, well, they're not culpable, they're not guilty, and they simply get away by paying out £9,000 in compensation per child. Now, what we can tell you is we understand, and we'd be grateful if anybody can confirm this, we understand that the judge who have been presiding over the civil cases where Nottinghamshire City Council and County Council were making these payments to abuse victims in Beechwood home. We understand that the judge has said he is not going to preside over any more cases of possible handouts until Nottinghamshire Police have completed their inquiries. Now, since Nottinghamshire Police started their inquiry in 2011, and we're now into 2014, since they've said that clearly there was no evidence for a murder investigation, and yet the council was selling off the property in the first year of that investigation, we'd like to ask just what is happening in Nottinghamshire. Yeah. We will see. And, well, don't worry too much, because if you committed a crime, you can be let off,
let off on caution. OK, so Robert Green in prison, Melanie in prison, and obviously Robert's under house arrest still, but thieves, drug traffickers, arsonists are escaping jail by being given a caution. 1,356 were cautioned for GBH, 301 cautioned for drug trafficking, 286 people were let off with a caution for sex offences. Where is the justice in this?
Well, the aim is not justice, is it? No. The aim is to protect people in high places.
Exactly.
Have we got some good news with fracking? We've got to have something to cheer people up. There's one or two people in the chat box saying that I never smile. That is absolutely not true. I smile quite a lot.
Sometimes.
But I'm not going to be smiling on a programme when we're trying to say to people, you need to wake up, because the situation in Britain is unbelievably dangerous. Yeah, well, we're going to end with a little bit of some good news anyway. West Sussex County Council has refused an application by Celtic Energy to do exploratory drilling in the small village of Wisborough Green, which is just by the South Downs National Park. 2,500 objectives apparently were received by the council, but Celtic aren't too happy about the rejection. The chief executive, Jeff Davies, had this to say. He was very disappointed with the council's decision, adding that it had not followed the spirit or the letter of government policy or good practice in dealing with this planning application. And he says, we believe this application was totally compliant, comprehensive and of high quality, and would stand up to further scrutiny by the Planning Inspectorate or the Secretary of State in the event of an appeal. We are considering our further options and will make a decision in due course. But all I can say is well done, people of Wisborough Green there in Sussex.
And yeah, I mean that sort of highlights the arrogance of the industry, doesn't it? Where they say, well, the government has set out these rules, we have followed the rules, and therefore by default, whether the local people want it or not, by default, if we conform to the government's rules, we must get permission. Of course, it doesn't work that way, guys. We live in a democracy, so in fact, if people don't want your nonsense in their area, you can't impose it upon them.
Yeah, exactly. And well done, guys.
I'll just add, I think I'm correct in saying there's been some reports in the press over the last couple of days that the head of the Environment Agency, I think, has got a few little links to the fracking company.
I believe so, and I think Ian will probably be talking about more of that on Monday.
OK, well, more good news in people getting motivated.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of other flyers, but on the 25th, which is, July 24th, which is tomorrow, there is going to be a M25 blockade, and people are meeting at 10 a.m. at South Mim Services on the M25. Apparently the police are aware, and they know it's going to happen. So the organisers have said if people want, and this is against children screaming to be heard, there's going to be another talk on Saturday around Holloway Road, but I'll give you details of that tomorrow. But if people are wanting to go and support everybody at Children Screaming to Be Heard, please meet at the South Mim services on the M25 at approximately 10 a.m.
Brilliant.
And of course, anybody who wants to send us a report of that, we'd be delighted to have
any
it.
photos and reports on that, we would be pleased with that. Thank you.
Okay, well, there we have it. It's becoming so easy to see what's going on in this country. Westminster is not staffed in order to help the country run properly, make sure everything's going smoothly. It's in order for a cluster of mainly middle-aged, very wealthy men can do whatever they want, whether it's from criminal activity to abusing children to champagne parties. The interests of the rest of the British public comes a very poor third or fourth or fifth, presumably.
Yeah. I'd just like to say, if you are liking what we're doing and want to support us, please get onto our website, ukcolumn.org, and become a member. You will get a free bumper sticker and various other bits and pieces, and we have t-shirts for sale as well, but we can't be doing this without the support of you guys. So thank you for all the support we're having, and please tell your friends and see if they'd like to subscribe so we can keep on doing this.
And finally, special thank you to the communication we had recently from Hungary. So we know that we're now reaching yet another part in Europe. So if you know about us overseas, please tell a friend there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.